I want to welcome everybody to the February 18th, 2020 Town Council meeting. Today's date is February 18th, 2020. Official Town Council meeting called for 6 p.m. It's 6:35 p.m. A meeting officially called to order. Town Clerk, can you call roll, please?
Mayor Singer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bernstein.
Here.
Councilmember Luskin. Here. Councilmember Mendel.
Here.
Councilmember Einstein.
If we could all rise, please. And Chief, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Everyone, please face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody to the Town Council meeting. I know we've got a lot of guests, a lot of residents. Appreciate your patience. Sorry for the delay. But first on the agenda is presentations. I believe we don't have any, correct?
That's correct.
Step. Second, motion to set the agenda, additions, deletions, removal of items from the consent agenda and changes to the agenda. I have none. Town Council?
None.
Staff?
The variance that's scheduled for 7 o'clock is 7 or thereafter, so you don't feel rushed. It could be whenever we're ready for the variance item. No changes.
No changes? Okay, anyone signed up for good and welfare?
No, sir.
Okay, mayor's comments. I have nothing except for welcoming everybody. We've had a long day. We've been here since a little before noon, so I'm sure everyone's anxious to move through the agenda. But I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for attending. Council comments. Councilman Einstein?
None.
Councilman Bernstein? Councilman Luskin?
None.
Councilman Mandel? Okay, move on to town manager's report.
3 quick things. Thank you for everyone who attended the Valentine's Day, and thank you to the staff for a great event. Number 2, the pickleball court will be open next week, and our next town event is not until April. Thank you.
Town attorney, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Okay, ordinance's second reading, we have none. Ordinance's first reading, have none. I think meeting's adjourned. No, just kidding. Quasi-judicial resolution, are we postponing that, or are we going to go
After your items.
after the items?
Yep.
Okay, next is, can I go through the consent agenda before the Civic Center? I'm going to go through the consent agenda, and then we'll come back to the Civic Center Master Plan update. First on the consent agenda, the following items. Item O2, official minutes of the January 28, 2020 local planning agency meeting. O3, official minutes of the January 28, 2020 special town council meeting. Item O4, a resolution of town council approving a donation of $2,000 to Best Buddies International. Items O5, resolution of town council authorizing the purchase of a Chevy Traverse detective police vehicle. Item O6, a resolution of town council approving a mutual aid agreement between the city of Golden Beach and the Miami Gardens. O7, a resolution of town council assigning each councilman an area of government responsibility. Do you want that on the consent agenda? We'll leave that on the consent agenda. Item O8, a resolution of town council approving change orders to the contract to Olin Hydrophonic Solutions. And those following items, 6 items on the consent agenda.
Mayor, just real quick, because I know that you've paused. So we pre-assigned you to your selection, so that's
I just
on.
want everyone to know that. So all in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Those 5 follow. So we'll move back. Do you want to move back to the
I'll do the update, and then we'll go to the item.
Okay, go to the. I'll turn it over to town manager for a civic center update.
So, Mayor, members of the council, and our residents who are both here in the audience and at home watching this evening, as you know, the Civic Center concept is something that we started over 24 months ago by having an open dialogue with our residents in terms of what we as the administration proposed as our need, what we learned after Irma as it relates to the functionality of this building, and then we started having surveys and talking to the community. If you remember when the idea of the Taj Mahal, remember that discussion? We talked about building a great civic center, 20,000, 50,000 square feet. Our residents kind of revolted and said, no, that's not something that we're willing to do, and we're definitely not going to pay for it. And we then made a commitment to our residents, a promise that we tried to stick to, like everything else that we do. And it was very simple. There were 4 guiding principles as we moved forward with the idea of building a civic center, a sense of civic engagement here in Golden Beach. Number one is that we would use our existing budget, not passing a single assessment, not asking for a single rate increase to your taxes, not asking you for a one-time payment, not charging you an access fee, but build something that we can pay with our existing budget. And so we've had to reduce our operational costs to create capacity in our budget so we can pay for any improvements to the civic center. And when we talk about civic center, it's not just a building. It's a complex. Your recreational area, your tennis courts, your basketball courts, your new gym, your new party room. So commitment number one is that we can afford it within our existing budget, not asking for our residents to increase a single penny in new taxes or assessments. Number two, the Taj Mahal was too big. So build something that was more to scale to Golden Beach. Something that fits within our footprint, that won't be overpowering, but something that we can be proud of, that we can enjoy, and if we needed to grow into it, we could. Number three, if we're going to provide for new offices for our staff, residents should also benefit from that. So what new amenities can we offer our residents? Should we have an AC enclosed party room? Should we have a rooftop terrace for our residents? Should we have a movie room for our kids, for our youth? Should we have a gym for our community? And what are those basic elements? And then number four is, how do we preserve the history of Golden Beach in this particular building? And so the council authorized that we look at the Civic Center. So when you think of Civic Center, think of everything south of Turtle Park. How can we repurpose this space to give our community the amenities that it deserves? And so we talked about changing our scope. Instead of a Taj Mahal, have two structures. Take this existing city hall and police department, make this the amenities building for our residents, a gym on the first floor with yoga space and studio for Pilates and all that great stuff on the first floor. On the second floor, space for our youth to watch movies, to play ping pong. Vice Mayor Bernstein talked about video, something that's new that the kids are all like engaged in, video stuff. So we use this building as our residence building. Open with key fob only, so if you don't have a key fob, you can't come in. On Saturdays for the Sabbath, we'll have to do something with the police for our observing residents, so we'll do something there. And then build a smaller scale footprint on Ocean Boulevard. So we put together an RFP that would meet that. We had two questions that we need to answer. Do we design the building and then put it out to bid, and God only knows what will happen in terms of budget? What if we design something wrong? What if there's a conflict? And what about if there's change orders? Or do we take the risk, and for the first time in Golden Beach, it's not the first time that I do it. I had well over 76 design build projects when I was at Water and Sewer, and 13 when I was at Miami Beach. Or do we go out with a design build concept? A little bit riskier because you really don't know what you're going to get. You tell the design community, this is what at a minimum we need. And then they, the design community and the contractor community, get together, they form teams, and they design the building based on your design criteria. But the beauty is, if there's anything missing in terms of like conflicts or change orders, that's on them. We pay a guaranteed maximum price. They miss something and we called for it, they pay for it. Less profits. Now, we want something nicer, so we want to put porcelain instead of ceramic tiles, we pay for it, right? So we control the true cost. Because our budget for this project is a $5.2 million budget. We do have some contingencies. We have a little bit more money that we can look at if we need to, but that was our budget, 5.2. It needed to also provide, in that design criteria, we talked about the minimum number of square offices that we needed, minimum size of the amenities deck. We added a community bunker, which is where our police will actually stay here during a hurricane. So instead of our police always leaving, which we haven't done since I've been the manager, but should we had to leave, we no longer will leave, we'll stay here. We wanted to make sure that we added at least one more tennis court. The council said that that's going to be clay. Make sure that we keep the basketball court. Make sure that we keep the pickleball court. Make sure that we can provide amenities. And so in our design criteria, we said this is the minimum specifications. We then provided that specification. I'm going to be a little bit, I'll try to wrap it up quickly, but I want to make sure we're clear about what happened. We then took that design criteria, we gave it to our most active residents in the building community. And we said, test this, tell us what we missed. Did we miss something? And they dissected it and they gave us changes and they added more, and then I took away some, and then the city council finally said, that's the package we're going to go with. And in October, when did we go out to bid? In November, sorry, give me a second. In October, we issued the RFP. Or November. We then had a pre-bid meeting. 29 companies came to this pre-bid meeting. 29 companies came to the pre-bid meeting. And all companies had until January 17th to submit their bids. At which point, 5 companies submitted bids. The council then appointed a group of residents, made up of residents, male, female, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, Jewish, non-Jewish, a representative of the community to serve as their screening committee. And I've got to be, and I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again, not because I'm trying to get their support, but our selection committee members really took their time and did their homework. I was getting phone calls in the middle of the night in terms of, well, why this and this is wrong, and they really dissected page by page the 5 proposals. Then when we met in a workshop setting that is on our website, you can watch it. I know that the noise, the audio is really bad, but if you put it up just loud enough, you can still hear it. The selection committee then drilled down on each of the 5 firms, and they recommended 3 firms to come to the council for their consideration. They made sure that all 3 of those firms were qualified, were insured, are vetted. They're not going to rip us off. They have the capacity. They have the staff. They vetted the firms. 3. Today, the council took those 3 firms, dealt a little bit with the vetting, not much, but really got into the design and the budget. And so all 3 firms were given an opportunity to present 2 hours. All the firms did a phenomenal job in presenting their proposals. They really dove into the numbers. And so tonight at the council meeting, what's going to happen, and the attorney's going to kind of talk about processes, the council will now then re-rank the firms and direct me as your manager, the mayor as your executive mayor, because we do have an executive mayor form of government here in Golden Beach, and the town attorney to negotiate a final contract for their award at probably the April council meeting. If we could do it in March, great, but if not, in April. The contract is already pre-written. It's on the website. We gave it as addendum number 4 to the RFP. But it's making sure that we get every detail in the contract. So what, I don't know, X thing is going to be. And we'll bring that to the council. Then what happens? So now we have a contract. Here's what happens next. At 30, 60, and 90% plans, staff with our consultant, Lisette, I can't say your last name, Lisette. Oh, is it? Okay. Lisette, staff, our selection committee members, 3 of them are heavy construction people, Mr. Hollow, Mr. How do you say his last name? Maschiati, and Mr. Cohen, who are all in the audience. They'll serve as consultants to make sure that we're not getting a bad product, corners cut. And the council, at the council meeting, every council meeting from now on, will have the Civic Center update. We'll be discussing 30, 60, and 90. We'll start to break ground, and hopefully, no more than 24 months, we'll have a new city hall. In the interest of transparency, none of the proposals included the renovation of this building. But I know I can speak on behalf of the mayor and our council when I say we will deliver this building 12 months after we vacate it. So after we move out, within 12 months, this building will be renovated and it will be your gym. Even though it's not included in the RFP, we have found the funds within our forfeited asset funds to guarantee you. We're not, Mayor Singer and I have been doing this together for 13 years. In March, actually March is my 13th year. We've never backed down from our commitment to our residents. So even though this building is not in the contract today, you have my word, so long as I'm still your manager, 12 months after we move into that one, because we have to move out of this one to move into that one, you'll get this building. That's my commitment to you publicly today. If not, you fire me. And that's where we are. That is the process. And so tonight, the council will deliberate the 3 firms. They will rank them, and they will authorize us to enter that negotiation. Or they may choose not to do so. They always have that option. We're hoping that they feel that the process that we took, the steps that we take, make us ready to award a contract today. Anything I'm missing, Mayor?
No, sir.
Mr. Attorney, am I missing anything?
So why don't we turn over to the town attorney, and he's going to explain the process that we're going to go through.
And then we should open up to the residents in case they have concerns about process as to where we are.
So
Okay.
Steve, if you can just go through the process.
Alex has done a good job. There's not a lot that I can add. Let me just say that the process that we went through is called a design-build process. That's the way governments can go out and procure or purchase architectural services, engineering services. It's one way to do it, and that's the process we followed. That process requires that there be an evaluation of all of the firms based upon very specific criteria dealing with qualifications of the contracting firm, the architectural firm, their experience in building similar projects, their design that they're proposing as part of their submittal, price. All of those things come together as part of a design build process. The council delegated the evaluation process to a committee that Alex talked about, that went through an extensive evaluation of the proposals. That committee has given the council a proposed ranking of 3 firms out of 5, which is what the law requires. Okay, but ultimately that decision lies with the council here tonight, should they choose to go forward. And as Alex mentioned, there is some possibility that after the discussion that they don't go forward. But if this does move forward this evening, the council will be actually formalizing a ranking. And they need to rank 3 firms, and they have 3 firms. They can choose to follow the recommendation of the committee. They can choose to vary from that. Whatever they do, though, has to be based upon what's been presented to them. The qualifications and the recommendations and the presentations, importantly, that were made today, those all go into that decision by the council. So at the end of their deliberation, each one of them will fill out a piece of paper, although I haven't told them that yet, ranking 1, 2, and 3, and at the end the clerk will simply calculate who got the most number 1s, who got number 2 and number 3, and that will be the ultimate ranking. And then what happens is we are charged with the responsibility of actually entering into a contract with the firms. If we reach a contract with number 1, we're done. If we don't, and we come to an impasse, we move to the second firm. And if we come to an impasse there, we move to the third firm. And I hope that we never get beyond that. But that's the process. So this evening, they have, to the extent that there are some deliberations, there will be. There's been so much public input and so much presentation throughout the day today that I suspect with few questions that that we can move forward with a ranking.
For a lot of our residents in the audience, I know that you haven't seen, if you haven't been engaged, those are the renderings of the 3 firms behind you. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. So those are the 3 buildings renderings that the council will be discussing.
Okay. Yes, you can answer, Susan. Okay. So with that, does anyone have questions on the process? Okay. Go on.
Or any questions.
Any questions?
We don't. Again, I want to make sure that our residents feel this is extremely important to the administration, because one of the initial criticism that we received during this process is that the residents weren't engaged, and so we have been providing more and more information than ever before to engage our residents. This is your final opportunity, because I want to be fair to the process. Once the council makes a selection this evening, yes, the council will be able to tweak some small things, but we are picking a design and we are picking a firm, and that is it. So if you don't feel that it's not the right time, if you have a question or some concerns, express them now, because there will be no other opportunity after tonight.
The only, as I mentioned, the only thing that will come back to this council is a final contract.
But not design, not...
But the selection process is tonight. So this is the opportunity, if you have public comment about any aspect of this process, or have thoughts on a design that you like or a firm that you prefer, now's the time to give the council those comments so they can consider them
As part of the
in
deliberations.
making a decision tonight.
Mayor.
So, I'm sorry, question, yes. if you just stand up and state your name and your address.
Ramon Doyle, I'm Dr. Superman for
That's
the
nice.
next drive. My question is, what's the timeline for construction? So after April, if you get to the contract, how long do you expect to get to the contract, and how long does it take for the actual?
Our plan is hopefully by August, September of this year, we're hoping to start construction. We hope, you have the calendar, can you go
Correct.
through the exact calendar?
Yeah, so we'll begin final negotiations now in March, okay? And we expect about no more than 6 months for the final design scope, breaking ground no later than November. We're hoping we'll break ground sometime in October. Depending on which company, there's one company that actually accelerates the calendar a lot faster, but it's no more than 24 months from contract award. So from beginning to end, 24 months from when we enter the contract. And some firms propose a faster accelerated schedule, and we believe that we can cut some of that time because we're doing all the permitting in-house. I know you guys feel that we take forever to do permitting, but we're gonna,
We make special exceptions.
we'll skip the line. Name and address for the record, please, always.
Sharon Boiler, 29 Woodmead Drive. I just want to know, is this the town hall? Is this the new town
That
hall?
would be a new
or is
city
it
hall.
the Civic Center, this designs?
Excellent. So our residents are accustomed to hearing the word town hall. So we're now changing town hall to civic center because it's not just going to be a government building; it's going to be a building for everyone. So yes, all of our government offices that will be in the civic center, and this will be the community amenities center. So that is town hall.
Just so they know, I don't know if all of the renderings are up there right now.
Yes, all three of them are there.
Where's the one with the?
Let's pull it out, Gio, a little bit, just so that into the door area. But all three renderings are there.
So I think you should let her. Let's pull that one out a little bit more.
More.
These are 3 different renderings of the facade
The 3 different firms.
of 3 different firms. So
Nope, Gio.
So, but just so everyone understands, the rendering is part of the consideration. Cost is a consideration. Because as the town manager mentioned before, we are in a restricted budget. Our goal is to not increase taxes, not charge any assessments, to work within our operating budget. And that's what our goal is tonight. You only get one question. No, I'm kidding. Good. Two, okay, two.
Sorry for.
No, I'm kidding. I'm
tonight,
kidding.
as many as you want.
Tonight is as many as you
Many you
need.
want.
The only thing is there, here there are the offices for the offices for where, what-
Administration.
Yes.
administration, yes. No any kind of amenity for the.
Yes, there is.
There is.
There is on the 3rd floor, there is where the town hall is, there's a availability for a party room or
Enclosed AC.
inside and outside.
It has a minimum amount of feet as big as the pavilion on the ocean.
On all 3 designs.
On all 3 designs, as a minimum. And that, there were certain things that the town manager and the administration, all the contractors had to give us minimums. I'm just gonna use an example, like 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom house. So they have a minimum of certain things we wanted.
Yes, question.
Yeah, good evening, Dave Long, 80 Terracina Avenue. Having access through the south gate has been a very nice thing for us that live in the south end of town. Will there be any impact to the gate at Terracina
Let me speak.
during construction and permanently after?
Let me speak to that. And I wanted to make sure that we put it in the last newsletter to remind everyone. So the current exit only pilot test project that we have at the south gate, we propose that will continue to occur during construction and will continue to occur until we get told by our neighbors to the south that we are in breach of our settlement agreement. And so right now it is a pilot and we're going to keep it that way and it will continue to be that way. I know that some of our residents would like for it to be an entrance. There is no desire from the administration to allow it to be an entrance also. And trust me, I've cut the staff from using it as well. Except for sometimes when the manager's late, he has to go through there. But It's an exit-only pilot, and we are going to fight tooth and nail to keep it that way until we are told that we're in violation, and we may have to fight another lawsuit. But right now, exit, and yes, even so. Another important thing is because in all three proposals, Golden Beach Drive stops at the tennis courts, and this becomes a park. You can still go around by going around this area and going out the south gate. It's a little bit more inconvenience, but the south gate will remain as an exit only in all three of our proposals.
Any other questions from the public?
Members, Mayor, if you have any input that you would like to give, this would be the time to do so also. So please stand. Just you have to. So thank you for your commitment.
Thanks, Scott.
And any observations that you wish to make about the process or about anything, so that this is be the opportune time to do so.
Well, it was Chris Massiati, 322 South Parkway. It was a good experience to represent all day, listening to everybody. Only comment I would like to make is, whoever you guys choose, if you choose somebody today, please get full submittal packages with warranties, guarantees from the manufacturer and from the contractor, so that the town can actually review what they're offering us versus just saying you're gonna get a town hall built and it's gonna cost this, because at the end of the day, we wanna know how it's gonna be built and what we're gonna have behind their walls.
That's called for in the agreement. So
Yeah.
that safeguards are already in
Yeah.
place.
Other than that, it was a great process.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to any council.
So how are we gonna do? Are we gonna go one by one, or?
Put the various people in the chamber, in the CIP.
It's entirely up to you how you'd like to do it. The deliberation, there's no requirement that you even, frankly, I know you do want to talk about it, even have a deliberation. You've gone through all of these processes, you have a recommendation before you, and you could just vote if you're prepared to vote and rank the firms as you like. It's not going to be a secret ballot. Everybody will mark it, but those are available for everybody to see in terms of who ranked who first and so forth. But I assume that there are some comments that you may have.
So then we're not choosing just on the basis of this ranking?
Yeah, we are
You are considering
So
that ranking as part of your decision-making. Absolutely, that ranking those rankings were developed through a detailed evaluation process. All of the criteria, I mean, I think you saw that long sheet where everybody went through it all. I don't know that I have it in front.
This
I mean,
one here.
Yeah, I mean, this evaluation process was extensive. Every single scorer scored each group, all 5 of them, and I know that you have all of this. So you will consider.
And this is public record right now.
Absolutely, you should consider. It has been public record. You should consider absolutely this ranking and the recommendations under here, but you're not necessarily bound by it. If there are qualities of a firm or something you heard in the presentation today that makes you feel that number 3 should be number 1, then that's your choice. That's the decision you're making. But it can't be arbitrary. I know this guy's handsome here, but you can't vote because he's so handsome. But using the criteria that we've handed out to you earlier, that's the basis of your decision. And that same criteria was extensively gone through by your committee. So you have both their recommendation, your own reading of all the materials, and the presentations today to make the ultimate ranking. You guys, the committee, it's their job to evaluate and make a recommendation, but it's your decision to make that ultimate ranking.
Okay. So, are there any other questions? I mean,
I wrote down observations that I thought should be used for whoever we choose, and these were after listening to different, all the different firms that came and talked to us, and just maybe for the edification of the record, that it was pointed out that we definitely need either 2 elevators or stairwell and elevator, and a larger elevator if we're going to go with just the stairwell and 1 elevator. It was brought up that in terms of saving money, so even though we've talked about in previous meetings how much we have for budget, there's been several different techniques that we can use to help save money so that's not coming out of our pocket. One of them is the owner direct purchase through the government to avoid the sales tax. And another one, which I thought was a brilliant idea, was it's a performance control program so that we can basically finance better utility programs and save future cost against, use to pay it with future costs, whatever note we borrow with that, which I just thought was a pretty brilliant idea. It's also been very apparent after listening to all 3 presentations that we do need drainage wells, additional drainage wells. And one last item is that the only thing that I really, I do feel strongly that the garage, the cars underneath the building should be screened, or there should be a wall in there so we can't see the cars that are underneath there, so that we have some either decorative device. So those are the things that I just thought strongly about after listening to all the different presentations.
One of my major concerns is listening to all the presentation is price. I mean, there's 3 very well qualified firms. All 3 firms did a phenomenal job in presentation. Each building is unique in nature. I liked one amenity or one structure versus the other, but it gets down to price. Golden Beach is on a budget. I mean, I do not want to go, town manager and I and this council had made a commitment that we are not going to raise taxes and we are not going to assess the residents. So we have to work within our financial budget. And that's an important concern of mine with this project. And probably that design, obviously, are my major reasonings how I rank the firm. Because even though one firm was hypothetically $1.6 million over the second firm, they said we could save theoretically maybe another $250,000, say $300,000. That's still $1.2 million over our budget. I cannot rightfully go back to the residents and say, we're gonna have to raise taxes to build this building, because we know now that we can build our building and add our amenities within our budget. So it'd be foolish not to do it. So are we skipping out on certain areas, not getting 100% what we want? We might, but then down the road we can always add. We can always add to what we have, but we've got to start with a starting point. So I can't address how much the budget is so critical in our decisions, because we don't have any extra money. I mean, Golden Beach, we run, it's called zero budget and accounting. We run a tight budget, and we do have reserves, but we don't want to hit those reserves, and we don't want to raise taxes, and we don't want to assess the residents. When we started out this project a few years ago, when I first started talking about it, my promise to everybody was, I'm not raising taxes. I'm not coming to you for this money. I am going to work within our means to get this project done, or we weren't going to get it done. And we're fortunate where we figured out a way where we can build a beautiful structure and get pretty much almost everything what we want, not 100%, but we can add to it down the road, but within that budget. And I know, talking to the residents that are here this evening and the residents that are watching on TV, if you were to rank their concerns, their number one concern is budget. The same as mine. And, you know, we've made that promise, and I'm going to stick to that promise. So that is a big factor in my decision process tonight. Now, once we decide, as the town manager mentioned, we're going to rank the process of the firms. The town manager, bless you, and I are going to go and negotiate and with that firm the first firm that we select, and if something doesn't work, we may have to go to the second firm or the third firm and work within our budget. Then, of course, it comes back to the council for the council approval. Nothing gets done without the council approval, but we've got to get to that next step, obviously. But like I said, you know, budget, budget, budget. So with that,
When you
go on.
still have comments?
No, go on.
I think what the mayor said is, there's something that's really important. There's a lot of new residents in town, and, you know, going back many years, the proof is in the pudding in terms of what you say about not raising taxes and things like that. We've done this before, and we've had capital improvement projects, you know, for many millions of dollars. The streets and the roads, the undergrounding of our lighting, our stormwater improvement systems. All of those things were done without any assessments to the residents, without any increase in taxes. So it's been done, and that's what our mind is on primarily. If you speak to most people in Golden Beach, or most residents, my neighbors, my friends, whatever, everybody says, please don't raise my taxes, whatever you do. And that's what we're trying to keep our eye on. You look at those buildings, you know, there's a variance of cost when you look at them, and it's all public. All these things have been on the TV, the records are available. You know, there's a variance of 5 million?
1.3 to 1.5?
1.5?
And 1.7 and
1.7, you know, and it might be that we like what's on 1.7, but if we went back to you, you might say, no, that's not what we want to do. The other part of this is, you know, the question is, do we need a new town hall? And I can tell you 23 years ago when I first came here, that was the very first thing on the agenda. We were deciding whether or not to spend $25,000 on architectural plans. We finally approved it, and that town hall never got done. And at that time, we were going to replace this town hall. We renovated it. Alex has put bandages on this. He's made it work, and it's happened. And, you know, various people have said, well, maybe we should fix this town hall up, or add another floor to it, or spend $1 million and increase this town hall. And where would that get us, if that would be, you know, good enough? But then there was this other increase, a number of people who want a civic center where they have an alternate use building. You know, all that's taken into consideration. Another parameter right now, I think that's confronting us, is that the financial package that's available in terms of interest rates are probably the lowest in history, you know. Certainly as long as I've been alive. And what we've been able to work out has been a good number. And that's what's going into my thinking right now. That if we're going to do it, we probably should do it now. And that's somewhat of what's going into my selection process, so everybody knows what I'm thinking.
So if anyone doesn't have any more comments up here, what I'm going to do is, I guess, do you want me to do the rankings?
So
Or
we're gonna give the council just to rank
Just
1,
a
2,
simple
3.
ranking sheet.
We'll
I-
still need your scores later on, but
I
let's-
see that some of you are doing it numerically by scoring it. That's fine. That'll be part of the record. It's not absolutely necessary that you do the
Okay, great.
numerical calculation.
Great.
But
In the
it
interest
is,
of time.
but because you have the benefit of all of the information, and you can choose. You got 3 firms, and you got a ranking to make. If you want to reduce it to a scoring because it's helpful
No, we
to
can do the
you, then
rankings
go ahead
easiest.
and do that. But
As in 1, 2, and 3 as opposed to
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
prefer that.
yeah,
Right.
it's easier.
Okay.
you just need to
Okay,
consider
what-
all, in making
Okay.
that, you need to consider all of these
Okay,
criteria
well-
that are there, but you don't have to
Okay.
go through the same scoring process that
gotcha.
the committee did.
So
Hold
while,
on, before you do that, let me just ask the Huffman a question. So before you do
Yeah.
that, hold on.
Yeah.
well, I just want to talk to the community for a moment, reminding everybody that I do agree with the mayor that design and budget is critical here. But the stepping stone for this also came from a survey we put out, it must be 4 years ago now, where we took the residents' feedback And they wanted, you guys, we wanted a new town hall. It was necessary, it was important, our police department couldn't stay here during hurricanes, it was time. So we're responding to the requests of our residents. So I think that's an important point to know. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, well, what Councilmember Bernstein said in terms of the specifics of the elevator. Just for point of information, I would prefer 2 instead of 1 bigger one.
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's the smarter way to go, and now's the time to take the plunge into things like that. And the other thing that many of us may not realize is that there's a bunker room, a safe room in there too. You know, this is a good thing for us socially, intellectually, and in terms of safety. And we still make good use of this facility also. So I look forward to it, and I thank everybody for helping us out with it. That's it for me.
So if you guys could pass your rankings down there.
And this means, so once we do this, it's done, or do we discuss afterwards? Can you
No, once you
No,
rank, rank.
the only thing that happens from here again, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but
Oh, I didn't
is
put my
that
name.
once the number 1 ranked firm is selected, we'll begin bring it back to you, and there'll be a public hearing and an opportunity for the public to comment on that contract,
Yeah.
but not the selection process.
But in terms of public input and our justification for our votes or anything like that,
Tonight is the opportunity. If you
after this, or it's supposed to be before we give you?
before, I mean, once you vote, you're done. I mean, if you want to explain,
Your
you
vote?
can certainly announce and say, "This is how I've ranked them." It's not a secret.
We're gonna read 'em out loud now.
We're going to read them anyway. But if you would like to speak to why you've
Yeah.
chosen the ranking, you should.
Okay,
Go right
yeah.
ahead. We'll hold off.
So this is a vote in terms of going forward with this project,
Yes.
right now, what you have right now?
Yes.
No. So what's gonna happen now is we're gonna announce your rank, right? We're gonna start reading this into the record, and then you will take a final vote on the resolution.
We will vote on the
Yes.
resolution. Okay.
This is just to fill in. This is just to fill in 1, 2, and 3, and then you will take a separate vote on the
Well,
resolution.
the ranking will be formalized in the resolution that's on the agenda.
Can we
so-
state in the record, I guess, just our basic reasoning for?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So hold on. Let us read into the record what you ranked.
No,
No,
they
okay,
would like they'd
exactly.
like to explain before
Yeah.
Sure.
before it's calculated.
So, just so, as the mayor and Councilwoman Luskin have alluded to, just my train of thought behind this was, as the mayor and Councilwoman Luskin said, for me, price, it came down to price. That was by far the most important factor. We have a limited budget. It's not our money, it's the citizens' money, it's the residents' money. So we have to be very careful in how we allocate those resources. So price was probably the biggest influence in terms of how I voted. But a close second was the functionality. This is not for town. This isn't to create a new town hall. It's to create a new civic center. It's really the amenities here are really for the residents. So for me, the biggest aspects were the chambers, which doubles as an indoor party room, which everyone has said we need here because we currently only have the pavilion. And if it rains, if it's bad weather, no one can do anything about it. So we wanted something that the residents could really use, and so now this is a functional, but it's gorgeous because we're going to be high up. We're going to have the views of the ocean, the views of the coastal. It's something that for me was always necessary. That's why I bought into this project at the very beginning. And as well with that, there's also an outdoor terrace space that I think is as important as the indoor. So that's where my head was at in terms of how I ranked these proposals. What gave us one, price; second, the most functionality. And lastly, I would just say that, and obviously, who I personally thought could actually come through on the project, because we're trusting some people with our town's resources here. So we have to make sure that they could actually complete what we're asking them to complete. Even though it's on them as a design build criteria, we still need to have faith that they'll give it to us in a timely manner. And it's very important for it to be done in those 2 years that everyone has expressed, or even earlier, 19 months as someone else had expressed, because as soon as we get that done, we can turn this into a functioning amenities place for our residents as well. The gym, which has been something I've been a proponent on since the very beginning, I think that needs to get done as soon as possible. So that's sort of my train of thought of how I voted.
The other thing that you have to remember is this is a town asset. And it's gonna increase the value of the town, everyone's residence, because now we have a beautiful new civic center on A1A. When you enter town, you're gonna see it, it's a beautiful building. All three of them are beautiful buildings. Whatever was chosen, you driving down A1A, you're gonna say, wow, that's a very beautiful building. That, and like Councilman Mandel said, by adding this place and converting it into a gym, a room for the children, an additional party room at the Civic Center, is added amenities to the town, which adds value to everyone's home. So, you know, that's a big factor also. You know, we've seen home prices in Golden Beach go higher and higher because of what this council has done with the projects, whether it be the capital improvement project, the street projects, everything that we've done, the lighting project, A1A, has added value to the town. And I always say that I want Golden Beach and everyone to the envy of every other town. And I think we've strived to do that, and I think we're continuing to do this. And by adding these amenities, it's going to increase everyone's value, and it's going to make the town of Golden Beach, you know, separate from every other community.
I'll be remiss, sorry,
No, go on.
I forgot to mention. All three were, at least how I voted on my internal sheets, it came down to 1 or 2 points that separated all three. So I do have faith that all three can actually deliver this project.
I just also want to mention that, you know, we're talking about budget and what we can afford, but I don't want anyone to think that we're going with the most inexpensive because that's all we could afford. We wouldn't do anything at all if it wasn't right for Golden Beach. So, you know, we want you to understand that our responsibility is to pick the best price, but the most responsible organization that can do it. So I don't want you to misinterpret and say, you know, look at it as if we were like cheaping out. We'd rather wait a year or two than do something like that. So we feel good about our decisions, and I think I speak for the whole council when I say that budget's important, but we wouldn't just push something through if it wasn't right for us.
Town manager?
So before the clerk reads into the record,
Can I-
yep, absolutely, please.
Go ahead.
So, another part of I think the public, just to summarize, I think there's 9 individuals who exhaustively went through and vetted the
Process.
the contractors, the construction teams. And of those, 8 of them were unanimous as to who they picked as their number one. That went into my consideration. And when they weren't number one, that person came in that construction firm came in number 2. All of the construction firms totally could complete this job. There's no question about it. They were all vetted. Their prior contracts, they have delivered books just so that, you know, they were all somewhat like this. You know, the books were daunting. They were all qualified. They gave 25, 35 other projects that they did, showing that they could complete the work in other communities where they dealt with municipalities. These weren't home builders. They were municipal builders, fire stations, whatever else. So that also went into it. I think they could all complete, obviously they could all do the job. But price, again, was very important, you know, to it, and will continue to be important during the entire process.
Town manager, you want to read into it? I'm
no,
sorry.
I want to first thank all the firms that came and spoke today. I thought all the presentations were fabulous. I thought each of the firms gave great presentations, had the experience to complete, and came with unique and beautiful proposals. I would say in each of the different proposals, there were certain aspects that I liked more than others on some of them. It came down to me, you know, what we heard loudest from the community is we don't want to pay anything extra for this. And so I think all of us feel very strongly that cost has to be one of the most important things, that we have to get this done in cost, and if not, it might not even be initiated. The second thing I look for is we spent many months going through this, if not years, talking about the different criteria that we had. And so when we put out an RFP, as Commissioner Mendel specified, there were certain amenities that we were looking for and certain things that we were looking for. some of which that we heard from the surveys that residents wanted. There were certain things we needed for the police department. We want to make sure that during a hurricane that our police have the ability to safely stay in Golden Beach to protect our homes and be here, which came to us in Irma, that if we didn't have cooperation from neighboring condominium, we might not have had that. And then my third thing is just looking at the design. And I want to say to everyone in this community, because I've heard this now for a long time, should we build this or should we not? And I feel very strongly that we have money available that is there that we can't use for other purposes, and it's available. And I think that what the firms today have shown is that we can come in here and build this for what we have budgeted and get very close to it, and that there are other saving devices that we have available that we can get even potentially more. And I think for the additional amenities, and I think the safety of our police officers, and for the safety of our employees who work in town of Golden Beach, I think it's imperative that we move forward. So I just want to put my comments in the record.
Perfect. Town manager?
So before the clerk reads into the record each of your votes, and we announce that, and then we vote for the resolution. I just want to, because the audience is probably going to leave after that, just want to say this process has been a 2, if not 10-year process. I'll remind the council that in 2008 I brought to you the first rendition of us building a new city hall when we did our space allocation with remember the firm C3TS, and we had those renderings of the firehouse with the garages. So we've been working at this for over 10 years, in looking at everything that we need to do. I spent a lot of thousands of hours looking at different city halls, different structures, different ways of doing it. The mayor and I went on many field trips, but we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the feedback and the input that we've gotten from our residents, the long man hours by your staff, your directors, whether it be the finance director, the city clerk, the building director, the police chief, our public works director, our consultants, Lisette. I can say Rivera, but I can't say the second name, Topolaki. But the staff has really put in a lot of man hours, and so I, as a city manager, always take all the credit for all the great things that we do. But I'd be beside myself if I didn't say thank you to them, to all of our directors, our Michael Glidden for the Resident Services Department, for the hard work and the long hours that they've put in to get us to where we are today. We hope that in the design criteria and the process that we've undertaken, we've made our residents proud, that we've tried to, we know we can't please everyone, but we try to find a win-win among all of our residents. And so I just want to say thank you to them, and thank you for the mayor and council for entrusting my administration and myself to lead us in this effort. After this, what will happen,
And
the real work begins.
And the building committee who.
Oh yeah, and of course the selection committee and the building advisory committee. After this, the real work begins. We'll bring to you a strong contract, and then a lot more will happen. So just again, thank you to our staff, and thank you to the council, and more importantly, thank you to our residents for having the trust in us. Let's read the score sheets one by one.
Okay. Mayor Singer's rankings are Critical Path Services, Inc., number 3. Garrett's Construction ranked at number 1. Gulf Building LLC ranked at number 2. Vice Mayor Bernstein's rankings are Critical Path Services, Inc., ranked at number 3. Garrett's Construction ranked at number 1. Gulf Building LLC, number 2. Councilmember Luskin's rankings are Critical Path Services, Inc., number 3. Garrett's Construction, 1. Gulf Building LLC, 2. Councilmember Mendel's rankings, Critical Path Services, Inc., 2. Garrett's Construction, 1. Gulf Building LLC, 3. And Councilmember Einstein's rankings are Critical Path Services, Inc., 3. Garrett's Construction, 1. Gulf Building LLC, 2.
Totals.
The totals are Garrett's Construction with 5 scorings of 1. Gulf LLC with 4 scorings of 2. And Critical Path Services with 4 scorings of 3. So the ranking is Garrett's ranked number 1. Gulf Building LLC number 2. Critical Path Services number 3.
Great.
Again,
Okay.
I want to thank all three firms for coming today and doing your presentation. All three were great presentations. They were all great projects, and we appreciate everybody. So with that, we'll continue on the agenda. We'll go to item resolution number P9, a resolution of Town Council ranking the selected qualified design firms for the Civic Center Complex Master Project.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, ranking and selecting
Oh.
qualified Center Complex Master Plan Project, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
Councilman. Later on of not giving everyone the proper venue. So now the committee, you have ranked your items. Should you vote favorably on this resolution, you are approving the project and we are moving forward. There are no delays. We go, tomorrow morning we're meeting to start contract negotiations and design. Should you choose that that's not what you want to do, this is the time to do so. So I want to make sure everyone knows that that's what you
So
have
I
to
would
do.
give the town manager and the mayor, who will be negotiating on our behalf,
Let's close the door.
And is there
Just
committee
my-
members too that are doing this? Or
No.
Not at that stage,
No.
at any stage?
Trust me,
They're done.
I
I'm
have
just asking.
created a smaller group of members
Advisors.
of advisors.
Oh,
So they'll be
okay.
advising
I
you.
got it.
just to be concerned about, well, not concerned is not the right word, but the words are escaping me right now. But as far as the views go on the third floor, just having. Although I love the project in general, I love the budget especially. My only concern was really in terms of the views of the chamber, which is the party room, and the outdoor terrace. Perhaps we could switch that a little instead of it viewing, having views from the south side, which isn't our greatest side, and it possibly flipping
Well,
that
the
around
architect,
a little.
get this chambers and the party room more on the north side instead of the south side. That would be better for you.
Because when we got out there today, I was looking essentially at the views. I'm not sure if it's the greatest idea to have the views seeing the rooftops of Golden Gates or straight up by Regalia. Perhaps there's a better way to maneuver that. So we have.
You're gonna, the contract is a contract to set them off with the design process, and you are gonna see the conceptual phase early on with floor plans and have the input in that. And that's not gonna be done administratively, although a lot of it will, but we're gonna bring these phases to you. So, it's not really for the contract at this point for us to say, oh no, you gotta point it this way, this way. This is a contract to engage them to begin the
come back.
design
Hold on,
process.
you guys.
So I'll just
Steve,
say get a better
Wait,
price.
Steve is right, but let me be very clear as to how I intend to move this forward. I am not waiting for council meetings to start approving layouts and designs. So we'll be working with you individually outside of council meetings to get us to where those conceptual plans are ready for just a vote at the council meetings. But remember, the clock is ticking. We want to get the design done. We want to get the 30, 60, 90. We want to do that without it having to be every once a month at the council meetings, right? So, so if you want to be engaged, like if you're concerned as to where the bathroom's going to be, you need to make yourself available to me.
Okay.
You need to be here. No,
so I'm
I know
not-
you want to be hands-on. I know you want to be very hands-on, but let's make sure that, because we're not going to wait for once a month. So as we start drawing Lisette,
Just talk to them.
Lisette,
I think we talked about this once before. You're gonna serve as the owner's rep?
yes.
Okay.
So Lisette will be, I'm bringing Lisette on board, not full-time, but almost full-time. She'll be driving to your offices, meeting with you, showing you where we are, so we can get consensus. I just need 3. So we can start, because if we wait for council meetings, we wait for public input, we're never gonna build the building. So you've approved the shell, it seems like everyone loves what Garrett's presented. Thank you for staying here, by the way. It's a beautiful building. We've heard some of your concerns, Councilman Mendel. I hear your point, but I want to make Steve is correct that you will vote on everything, but It won't be at this forum.
But you
And
said,
I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with that.
you said you only need 3, which is true, but 5 need to know.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
No, and all 5 of you will be given a chance.
Okay, I just
but
wanna
I'm
make
not going to
sure.
wait because you're out skiing in the Philippine Alps, if there's such a thing,
I'm not going
to
there.
wait for you. Because if I get 3, I'm going to move forward with 3. So some of you start your very aggressive summer schedules now, Mayor, and others.
You ain't going
I want to
nowhere.
make sure.
Can't even walk.
I just want to make sure you guys know that that's what's going to happen. Want you to know that that's what's going to happen. I don't want to pick on the other one. So we will continue this process. You may get mad at me, right? Because I may say, guess what, Mayor Singer, you're outvoted. We're not doing that, and we're pushing on. So, because I know some of you are very sure
I'm
of what
sure
you
he'll
want.
be angry with you.
Why is he on his own? So just know that, because I want to make sure that everyone understands. And do you feel comfortable with that? Because if not, then I'm going to call for every 2 weeks to have a council meeting, because I'm not delaying this project.
Because we're talking about minor changes.
That's correct.
There's nothing major in
I
anything.
I agree
There's-
with everything you said.
There's
My only
minor
comment was
changes,
have that in
and it's
mind.
all workable.
Yes.
It's all workable.
Like one of the things that I learned today, right? And I think we need to be penny wise, pound foolish. I think that the second floor, that additional space that could be enclosed as a mezzanine, needs to happen.
The outside portion?
Right? So those type of things, now, it's on me to find that money, right? Because that wasn't a part of their proposal, right? So if I want that to truly happen, so we can have a little bit of a more art space on the second floor, then we need to do that. And if 3 of you say yes, that's a good idea and that's a priority, we're gonna, just like we've done all along, right? I'm not going to get into the circles, whether it should be circles or diamonds or a picture of Alex. Like we can figure that out later, or name the building after me and the mayor. Did I say that out loud? I was thinking of that. But those are things that you will get involved. But and of course, the most important thing, because I know all of you are thinking this,
The Alex Diaz executive bathroom.
the flushing down the toilet. All of the facade material selections will be done by the council. All of the final facade look will be done by the council. I'm not asking the council should the carpet be gray or brown, right? We're going to bring that to you as a total package at the end. This is the final. These are the final elements that we've selected with with their interior designer. We have an interior designer that's going to be helping us as well to make sure you're not ripping us off or giving us cheaper products. So I've created a system internally of advisors, residents, Lisette. We're going to be bringing in people. Yes, I will be your construction manager, your owner's rep, but I'm bringing a team to consult with me to deliver your product. If you feel comfortable with what I just described, that's how I intend to manage this project on a moving forward basis, to deliver the project within 24 months. And we're going to put language into the contract that punishes them if they don't, for the time that we sign off on the final permit.
For the most part,
Yes.
when we've made decisions like this, the council has never had a problem letting you and the mayor work out some of the fine details without us.
But
Doing it for 15
But you've seen the floor plan. You've seen the renderings. I want to thank them, Garrett and Martin, for being here for the council meeting. Since this is what we're going to build,
And thank you for bringing the lift. Good idea.
we don't. Well, but that's a good point, because today I saw the pictures from one of the lift, and I may want to ask for another 3 feet, right? And those are, I may have to find money for another 3 feet. So those are things that you need to trust me and the mayor, because you guys know the mayor is like on me, to get us there,
It's true.
right? To-
I definitely am not going up.
and also know.
Hey, Councilman Bernstein was shaking too. Trust me.
I haven't gone up because I'm afraid. But also know that I have Hawkeye over here watching over my shoulder, making sure that everything that we're doing, if we need legal recourses for, he's protecting me like he's done the last 13 years. So just have faith in that process. But this is what you're getting. Let's get the other boards up.
Except, just,
Go on.
Ben and I both articulated very strongly on the facade, just so we can move this thing fast.
Yeah.
We don't want to see the cars
From the front.
from the front.
I agree with you. I agree 100%.
Yeah,
But you do want to pick the fabric on the beach chairs, right? You want to pick the blue or the greenish color, or what?
Just
Okay.
renderings. Just renderings.
That's what we don't want to do.
The back one
Have
specifically.
weeks and weeks and weeks of deciding whether it's going to be a green stripe or
I don't
not.
want to see them rusting, you know, that's.
Yes, that one.
That was probably your highest turned out meeting ever.
Oh my. Al, you know,
There, get the
You know,
Hazel?
Go on, Ben.
I think through this entire process, that, you know, and I still feel a little uncomfortable with the feeling I have.
Which is?
Because it's a new feeling, this design, build process, the whole thing. But I understand that it's not going to be my perfect wish list item. We have a number that we had to deal with. They come in with this number, and we're gonna do the best we can within those parameters.
Yes.
And that's.
But you have an idea what that means.
Yes.
Where's the other one? Put the other one up next to it.
Oh, with the glass?
No, that's the one you're getting.
Yeah.
The wall,
Put the glass.
put the wall. Yeah, the wall's an ad.
Yeah, but we want,
Yeah, I know. Let's
I
put
think we're gonna do the wall for the glass.
let's put both of them up real quick. And I know that we want to keep going, but I did some points for a little bit more. Let's put the other one, the wall. Oh, sorry. All right, the wall. All right, so if you remember the PowerPoint, it's the wall. But we'll fight. We're gonna fight tooth and nail to find the money to do that glass, right? But this is important, and then we'll just vote on the item if we're gonna vote on the item. Because our residents really aren't gonna see the inside, right? This is what we're getting. That's the back. That's the front. We'll negotiate screening the cars. We'll talk about the glass on the third floor. We'll talk about whether we like circles or triangle. That will still be your decision. Right? Those will still be your decisions. But the inside, we'll deal with. Because they won't. I love you residents, but they don't really care. Because they're not going to be coming to the second floor. They want a beautiful third floor for when they're having their baby showers and their bar mitzvahs and Alex's retirement party. That's what they want, right?
Sooner than later.
And I think we all strongly feel about making sure the area is dry, so that's usable. So
Yeah.
if the money needs to come from,
Well, I think Mr. Cohen probably expresses the best to the owners, the designers and the contractor. Civil is very important to us,
Right.
and he's going to be a hawk to make sure that we. And I think he spoke to them after their presentation and said, "Hey, this is important." And I'm gonna say this publicly because I'm putting him on the hook. I'm gonna lean on on Mr. Cohen, on Mr. Maschiati, and Mr. Hollow.
Say Eric.
God,
And he doesn't hear it. Perfect. I've been trying for months.
He's been,
Your wife only calls you Mr. Clinton.
yeah. But I'm going to be relying on them, and if, I may have to talk to Turnberry, steal him for a couple hours. But I'm going to be relying on them to really make sure that's what that they feel comfortable because they're in the business. I'm not. But these are the type of advisors that we're going to be leaning on, and so civil is very important. Getting the shell that we want is very important, and then let us figure out. Look, if I need to make one office smaller because we need to get more storage, we're going to do that, right? Right now, the design calls for a lot bigger offices than what we have today. So we could sacrifice the way that gets split up. Thank you for trusting this process. If it passes, thank you for allowing me to work with this team and the attorneys to get us to where we are, and we want to expedite this. Residents want to see us break ground sooner than later.
So
And that's
let's
what we're
roll
doing.
call P.
One person who didn't get thanked tonight through all this is Alex. I mean, he's been thanking everybody. You guys spearheaded this, and he had a passion for it. He pushed us, as he usually does. And if you didn't,
Remember, he started out this process with an afro. Look at him now.
Well,
So with that, let's take a roll call. P9, please. Town clerk.
Mayor Singer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bernstein.
yes.
Councilmember Luskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel.
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations, guys. That's awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
And the site will reach out to schedule the first meeting.
Yes.
and all that good stuff.
Golf.
Thank you so much.
Let's wait. Hold on. Let's get the various people over. Let's get them over. We have a variance.
I know.
That's,
We're not going.
that's the various people.
Thanks. Good job, man. Eric, thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Make us proud.
He's outside now. We had a black shirt on. He's outside now. I can't see.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex, we've been here 8 hours? Okay.
That's her husband?
Yeah, doesn't even to go back.
It's burning.
They will be variant, they use different variants. You gotta pull them in.
No way, it's not.
Is this meeting over?
No.
Okay.
into the water.
I always thought that, you know, when I'm on the ferry.
Yeah, it's
for
like,
sure.
is your brake on or like,
There's nothing to prevent, there's like a little band.
you can roll right off.
Right.
Yeah, well, it happened.
I think the meeting is over.
No, it's not, we have
Everyone's gone.
no, it's not.
No, we got one more item.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
The what? Are you gonna sit here? Or no?
Okay. Okay,
I don't need my. It isn't.
with that, we're set. Can you get to the, With that, we'll move to a quasi-judicial resolution. A resolution of a town council approving a variance request for 120 South Island Drive to permit an elevator override.
A resolution of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, authorizing and approving a variance request for the property located at 120 South Island Drive, Golden Beach, Florida, 33160, to permit an elevator override at 32 feet 10 inches where the height restriction is 30 feet.
To make a motion, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Before we start, anyone that's going to speak, please rise and face the town clerk. We need to swear you in. Anyone that doesn't will not be able to speak. Go on.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Thank you.
M1, town manager.
So, Mayor, Council, this item is a variance requesting for an elevator override, and an elevator to the roof. The applicant believes that the elevator is needed in order to access the mechanical equipment. As you know, we changed our ordinances a couple years back, and we do not allow elevators to go to the roof anymore, because the community feels that by providing an elevator to the roof, it allows for people to go up and use the roof for recreational purposes, which is no longer allowed in Zone 2. So in Zone 2 and 3, you are not allowed to use your roof for any type of activity. So if you build an elevator that goes to that roof, you may want to use it. The argument of the applicant is that they need it so that they can service their mechanical equipment, which is on the roof. The administration argues that many of our new homes have mechanical equipment on the roof and are accessed through staircases that are in the building. The Building Advisory Board recommended against this item. The applicant feels that they have a hardship and they should be given an opportunity to present their application.
Linda, you need to be sworn
Yeah, that's that, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
in. I do.
Thank you.
And so who's going to present the application? Who's going to present the request?
Well, I'll go ahead and lead.
Can you go up
Right,
to the
you have to present your application.
Is it picking up my voice?
No, you need
Yeah,
to.
no, you have to go to the
This
camera.
is a
Or
different
give,
recording.
or give him the mic. Give him the mic. Let's go. Let's give him the mic.
Yeah, he can't speak.
Thank you.
Just identify yourself.
It's on.
It's on.
Let me see you right up front.
Hello, my name is David Scott Troutman, architect with offices at 1533 Sunset Drive in Coral Gables. I designed this residence for 120 South Island Drive. And this is what it's going to look like when it's done. We also executed what it would look like with the elevator override. And you can see it, you can kind of see it on the right side, but it's pretty much far enough back where you don't actually see it from the street. This is a rendering from the street.
I'm sorry, you say you see it in the drawing? Where do you see it?
On the right-hand side.
I don't
Can you
see
can you
it.
point it out to us, please? Oh, he hit it by the tree.
Oh.
So behind the tree, you're saying there's a shaft that goes up?
That's the part that goes up.
Okay.
So,
Do you have a picture without the tree so we can see what that actually looks like?
well, I could show you the elevation.
Okay. It's in your council packets.
In your council packet. Page A-5.
And here's a board of it. So can you point to the structure itself so the council can see which structure it is? That
Oh, we
structure
see
there.
it, yeah. Good.
It's just on the other side.
You gotta be kidding me.
So you got to remember that
You look stupid.
we never see a house like this. We see it in perspective, okay? And it's far enough behind it where you'd never perceive it like this. You'd perceive it much lower, as it shows in the rendering. That's an accurate rendering.
Now,
of what it would be.
and sorry for interruption. Don't forget, because it's on the island, you also have to think about how this tower is received from across the
other
waterway.
side.
And can you explain why you feel that the variance is needed and what's the purpose?
We moved all the equipment up to the roof, all the air conditioners and the generator up on the roof. And we feel that the hatch, which was permitted, is not going to be sufficient to do the maintenance on the generator and the ACs.
But there is a stairwell going up there, correct?
There's a hatch with a ladder.
Is there any flat area there that's capable of being
Yes.
used as a,
Yeah, let me show you the roof plan. So this is the roof plan, and the reason why you're seeing these dark things is because when the cut was taken for the plan, it actually cut through the roofs also to get down to that level. So essentially, this is the flat portion over here.
Which side is closest to the water? Is the
Both.
The water is that way. This is the street.
where's the flat roof there?
All of the white.
All the way.
And what are those round little things?
Drain.
These are drains. These are the air AC units. This is the
Green.
generator, condenser units, hatch.
Right.
Let me ask this question. So the elevator is clearly an important feature of the house to service the first, second floor. Without the elevator going to the third floor, are you still going to have the elevator going to the second floor?
To the second floor.
Okay. So, and in order for the elevator to function properly, to service the second floor but not have access to the roof, do you need a variance?
No, it was already permitted.
Okay.
But here's the other thing, and do you
So
wanna
it's
talk
solely
about-
to have access to the roof via the elevator.
You would not have access to the roof
The reason you're asking for the variance is solely to have access to the roof via the elevator.
to deal with the equipment. Yeah.
That could be serviced by stairs or ladder.
How many square foot is this house?
It is, I think, 13,000.
Correct. Joseph Hernandez, 17485 Northwest 67th Court, Hialeah. The reason why the elevator again is because the hatch is 3x3, and 3x3 is not that big.
The house isn't built yet, correct?
The house is built.
Oh, it is built?
Oh yes, it's there now. It's almost done.
It's the big house on south on.
Huge house.
Remember we talked about it.
You can see it from the bridge when you go to Verona, the backside. The reason why, again, the elevator is because to service that, we would need a crane. The minimum size crane to use would be a 60-ton. At Grove, any company who has that. The working platform is 25 by 24. That takes up 2/3 of a street. If you push the crane to the property, that goes to the concrete swales on the sidewalks. We've already seen it happen during Hurricane Irma, that the sidewalks out there got trashed just because of 20 yard dump trucks that went over that.
So-
Those are nowhere
Can
near.
I-
the-
can I ask you
Hold on, for the record, because we need to keep the record clear, there are no sidewalks in South Island.
Right.
So I'm not sure what
I
sidewalks
said
you're referring.
swale. I said swale.
Can
No,
I ask
you
a
actually
stupid
said
question?
sidewalk.
Yes.
When you were building the house,
Why didn't you think
why
of
didn't you
that?
think of access to the roof?
Because the ground's not stable enough to handle the equipment.
No, but when you were building the house, why didn't you think, hey, we need to get access to the roof, we need to do a stairwell?
Well, initially we did, and we found,
Well, they do have, hold on, they do have an access. There's a hatch on the other side of the,
Oh, okay.
there's a hatch already in the roof.
To
three
get
by
up
three
there.
to get up there.
and it's a straight ladder, a ship ladder.
Okay.
So getting equipment up and down from this hatch with the ship ladder would be, I mean, so you
Right.
can imagine the ports that have to go up.
Are the air conditioners on the roof now?
Are the air conditioners on? The stands are up there.
They're not there yet.
All the preparation is there.
How are you gonna get them up there?
Crane.
Okay, just asking.
They're not gonna bring them through
And
the elevator.
Also, for the interest of full disclosure, there are some elevators in zones 2 and 3 that access the roof, and those were permitted prior to your ordinance change.
Right.
In the just so we can go, the only reason why we have this is so that we don't have parties on the roof.
No, I mean, I think
that was at least my recollection, correct?
well, you said you voted in zones 2 and 3 that you cannot have a rooftop terrace.
That's
So that was, but the elevator issue was voted. You took away the elevator long before you voted down rooftop terraces. The BRAB recommended that we no longer allow elevators and their overrides to go to the roof because they're an eyesore. They serve no purpose, especially because we didn't allow rooftop terraces at the time. Then you did away with rooftop terraces, and so there was no need to put it back into zones 2 and 3.
But where we have,
Not a rooftop terrace. You're allowed to recreate on your roof on the ocean.
and we
pushed it back.
And so we didn't mind the parties on there. We just didn't. That was.
You didn't mind having a recreational amenity in zone 1 on the roof.
Zone one's the only zone.
That's limited in size and limited in where it's positioned on the roof.
Okay.
Is the generator on there yet?
No.
No, none of the,
Nothing.
nothing. Y'all gotta all bring it. The building regulatory voted down, correct?
Unanimously against it.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments?
I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with this. I think that if there's a way that we can do this so that we can say that there's not going to be any parties on there so that we satisfy our requirement, I can support that. I mean, I wish we would have done this before and had you build something different, but I don't see a reason to have to force you guys to do a crane. I just think that's.
Well, renting a crane is a lot cheaper than building an elevator. Apparently, an elevator is $120,000.
You're putting in the elevator anyway.
Right.
But I
So it's
also
just going
think
up to the third floor.
I also think the manager has a good point of what it's gonna look like from the other side. I mean, it's
Now, they
something
did
to
design it in a
consider.
way that it looks like it's chimney stacked, but I mean, again, it's all about the council. You struggled with this question years ago, and it's whether or not you want to struggle with it again. Do you want to provide easy access to the roof for whatever purpose? They're saying it's for service, right? But that doesn't mean that they can't say, "Hey, let's have my daughter's baby shower up there because it's a nice view
Or they
from all
sell the
sides."
house and the next person uses it for a
Right?
party.
So
Can't we put
so
some
that's
sort of restriction
no,
on it?
no, because the second we say, so let me tell you what happens. We say, okay, allow the elevator to go up there, but we're going to square it off with rails to the AC area. The second they get CO, guess what happens to those rails?
Pandora's box.
Bye,
Come on.
Felicia.
Stick
They're
to the
gone,
ground.
and everyone's on the roof. So that's the
Yeah.
question.
Nah, again.
Yeah.
The crane again, if you have a crane out there and the concrete swale.
That's on you.
That's
on
got
you.
A crane, you got
Whatever
a crane
co-
there anyways
if
to
the
bring the
crane gets-
mechanical equipment
if
there.
the- if the
So that's a
crane-
poor excuse.
So here, let me give you the solution. Ready?
What's
You rent
that?
a helicopter and have the equipment installed by helicopter.
Was it a poor excuse when those dump trucks went out there when it was an empty site and everybody used the site for Hurricane Irma and trashed everything?
Everyone used this site for Hurricane Irma.
What are we talking about?
Who's that?
Hurricane Irma?
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
That place was trashed.
By who?
By you guys.
Absolutely not.
Sure was.
Show me records of that.
I get dump trucks out there from the city.
Not from the
All
city.
crap
You're
out there.
you're completely. That's fabrication.
I have pictures.
Great.
of
We'd
proof
love
for you.
we love to have them. The solution to bringing mechanical equipment onto the roof of a facility, if a crane can't access it, is you run a helicopter. like they do for all the major buildings that they do in downtown Miami.
You know, and look, I sympathize with the situation, but at the same time, there's a book of ordinance, a book of rules.
Just looked at it when you designed
and,
it.
you know, you guys are professionals, and you know what the rules are for Golden Beach. And to come in at this hour and say, hey, you know, we thought about this, we need to get a variance in order to get this elevator. I kind of,
That's good.
I don't get it.
Any other council comments? Any other public comments?
I got one more.
Okay.
I found out that the house next door to the north of us, the flood elevation was set at 9 feet. Why was that house set at 9 feet and his house set at 7 feet?
We're not talking about that. We're talking about a variance.
Okay.
It's
So
irrelevant.
Height restrictions.
It's irrelevant. We're here for the variance.
Okay.
Any other comments with the variance?
You know, just, I mean, just when we're talking about this, when you look at where, like, I understand when we're looking at the elevation, it looks larger, but when you're looking at it from the bottom,
What did he just say?
I mean, just I'm talking about not just this, but in the future, I don't like, if there's a way to restrict it so we don't have parties on there, it just seems like, why restrict that? If you have an elevator already in a building, why not permit it to go to a third floor for access?
There were hundreds of people that came to town meetings on 3 different occasions.
No, I understand the, I understand
And we legislated it, and they said, you know, went back and forth, and we argued about it, and we said, and there's been several other requests for people who said, we would like to have elevators, and those people who were permitted 3 years ago, or whenever it was, and I wasn't in office for a couple of those years, we said no, and we've told a lot of people, no, across the board. And what we're doing is, you know, we're applying different rules to different people.
And the Building Regulatory Board is there to enforce the code.
And I think I'm just speaking towards the rule itself. I'm not speaking, I'm just speaking towards the rule itself.
Then we have to
Just like-
change the rule.
I'm just saying, like, if there's a way that we're able to permit,
You
prohibit
can't.
people from doing parties on there, I just.
So 2 things real quick, 'cause I like to always keep the record straight. So there was the applicant alluded to there being a discrepancy in base flood elevation. As you know, base flood elevation, FEMA adopted a +2 rule. The architect in this particular house set their base flood at 7. That was a personal choice. They had the right to go +2 if they chose to. They did not. So let's set the record straight, because to try to misconstrue the record does not fall favorably with this administration. So to try to say, you know, that we switch and bait, that's not the case. Councilman Vice Mayor Bernstein, excuse me. As it relates to, you know, is there a way, right? The answer is no. All of our residents take liberties after CO. They take walls down. They start putting toilets in when they're not supposed to. And we, as aggressive as our code enforcement
Build
can be,
barbecues, build kitchens.
as critical as our code enforcement can be, the reality is that after CO, you lose complete control as to what happens, and it becomes very litigious if we want to pursue, you know, demanding that things get taken down. So you have to ask that question once again: do you want to provide convenient access? Because the AC servicing, a guy can climb up the ladder with his Freon bucket, fill the Freon, and call it a day.
Right.
If an AC fails within the first 10 years, then that's, I mean, so invest in proper equipment to not have to have, but it's not our question, it's your question. Do you want to provide convenient access to the roof?
Okay, with that, close to the council, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
No?
Vice Mayor Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Luskin,
No.
Councilmember Einstein.
No.
Motion
Doesn't
passes.
pass. Okay, thank you.
No, the motion,
Sorry, the motion fails.
fails.
Sorry, the motion fails.
the variance is not granted.
So with that, discussion items, there are none. Make any cleanup items?
Yeah, I just want to real quick. So our next council meeting is currently scheduled for March 17th. We're not proposing to change it. So it's March 17th at the regular time, 7 p.m. And anything else, Michael, that I'm missing?
If I may make sure he could join that one?
Yeah, he did. So if you want to change it, this is your time.
Nope.
To do so.
Good luck.
Mayor,
Make a motion to adjourn?
text your fiance.
What'd you say?
She wants to hear from you.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I make a second.
All in favor, say aye.